If you've been told to follow a low FODMAP diet, you're probably staring at conflicting food lists online, wondering what the heck you can actually eat without triggering your symptoms because they all say different things. So in this video, I'm going to keep it nice and simple and go through each food group and what's safe to eat from that food group with clear portion sizes so you know how much is actually low FODMAP and when it would tip over into high FODMAP. We'll also clear up some of the confusing foods people always ask about, like tofu versus soy milk, sourdough bread, dairy options, and fruit portions as well. Plus, I've got a comprehensive list that you can download and keep for yourself as a reference for free. My name is Joe Leach. I'm a gut health dietitian, and at Diet vs Disease, we've worked with over 15,000 people, pretty much all of whom were given a very basic FODMAP handout by their doctor and told, good luck. So if that happened to you, you're definitely not alone, and I'm glad you found this video. What are FODMAPs? Before we dive into the specific foods, let me quickly explain what FODMAPs actually stands for, because understanding this will help you make better food choices. So F is fermentable, O is oligosaccharides, D is disaccharides, M is monosaccharides, the A is for and P is for polyol. And so that's why we just say FODMAPs for short. So these are a type of carbohydrate that some people can't digest well. And when they reach the large intestine, they ferment and can cause gas, bloating, cramping, and changes in bowel habits. Now, the eating pattern that intentionally minimizes our exposure to these FODMAP compounds is called a low FODMAP diet. Go figure. Now, the original research comes from Monash University in Australia. They're the researchers who actually developed this diet and continue to publish new data on it. And being Australian myself, I'm proud to say we actually got something right besides Vegemite. Everything I'm sharing today is based on published research and laboratory testing of institutions like Monash. You can download their FODMAP app for a database of foods. And one quick thing to understand before we dive in is something called FODMAP stacking. So some foods are considered low FODMAP only up to a certain portion size, especially fruits and vegetables. And that's because the amount of FODMAPs in a food adds up with the quantity you eat. So while half a cup of strawberries is low FODMAP, for example, doubling or tripling that portion may stack those FODMAPs up and tip you into a high FODMAP range, which can cause symptoms. So said another way, it's the dose that makes the poison. So make sure you follow the portion sizes if it's listed next to the food that I show. Let's move to the food groups now. And remember, this video is focusing on what you can eat rather than what you can't. So if I don't mention the food you're hoping to hear, then you can assume it's high FODMAP and actually just double check it on my full eat this, not that FODMAP list. It's been downloaded by close to 1 million people by this point. If you want that, just comment food list below or visit the first link in the description to get it for free. Protein foods. Let's start with the good news. Most proteins are naturally low FODMAP, which means they can form the foundation of your meals. Because remember, FODMAPs are a type of carbohydrate. So if there's no carbs in the food, then it's FODMAP-free by default. Meat and poultry. These are all safe. Beef, lamb, pork, chicken, turkey, fresh fish and seafood, and eggs. So these are all fair game. The quantity doesn't matter in this context because unprocessed meats doesn't have carbohydrates and therefore no FODMAPs. They're just protein and fat. Now, so you know, portion size still matters for general digestion. So huge, fatty, or heavily fried portions can worsen IBS symptoms, even if they aren't FODMAP related because of the fat content, which is a topic for another video, just so you know. Here's where people often get confused. Processed meats. So things like sausages, deli meats, and marinated proteins, they often contain other ingredients and fillers that are high FODMAP, like inulin, garlic, and onion, for example. So stick to plain, unseasoned proteins during your elimination phase. Now, a lot of sauces are high FODMAP too, so you have to be careful there. Okay, let's look at plant-based proteins. So firm tofu, that's safe at 2/3 of a cup. Silken or soft tofu isn't really low FODMAP because it retains more of the soybean liquid, which is where the FODMAPs are concentrated. That's why it's firm tofu. Tempeh is safe at 2/3 of a cup. Peanut butter, 2 tablespoons. Most nuts and seeds are okay. I'll give you specific amounts for those a bit later in the video in another section. An important tip also is to cook your proteins simply with low FODMAP herbs and spices, because here's where many people completely screw up their FODMAP diet, the seasoning. They think they're being perfect with their food choices, but they're using spice blends and sauces loaded with garlic, and onion powder and other things. Safe seasonings and flavorings. So you've got fresh herbs like basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, parsley, cilantro or coriander, dill, mint. They're all naturally low FODMAP. The spices, we have paprika, cumin, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, coriander, cardamom, chili powder without onion and garlic. They're all safe. The caveat is chili powder. So like fat, technically it doesn't have FODMAPs, but it can irritate the gut. So you need to take note of that. We have garlic infused oil, lemon juice and zest, soy sauce. Just check for garlic and onion. Pre-made seasonings and spice blends is such a common problem that I've made another video breaking down how to read the ingredients lists and avoid getting tricked by sneaky FODMAP ingredients that are hiding in your spice blends and sauces. I'll link that in the description of this video. Low FODMAP vegetables. Now let's talk vegetables. This is where people often feel most restricted, but you actually have more options than you might think, so long as you follow the serving size and don't exceed that in one sitting. So leafy green vegetables. Spinach and collard greens, they're safe at 1.5 cups. Lettuce, all types are low FODMAP, typically in quite large serves. Arugula or rocket, as we say in Australia, that's low FODMAP, safe in 2 cups. Bok choy and some of those Asian vegetables, safe up to 1 cup. Other popular vegetables. So broccoli, the heads or the florets of the broccoli are safe at 3/4 cup. The stalks of a broccoli actually contain more FODMAPs, so stick with the head. Brussels sprouts, safe at 4 sprouts. Cabbage, so Savoy, red and white are safe at 3/4 cup. Carrots, they're low FODMAP at any normal serving. Green beans are safe at 15 beans. Courgette or zucchini, these are safe at 1/2 cup. Cucumber is safe up to 1/2 a cucumber. And bell peppers or capsicums, red, yellow, orange, and green, they're sort of safe at 1/2 cup. Tomatoes, so common, Roma, cherry, grape tomatoes, they're low FODMAP at about 1 medium tomato or 5 sort of cherry tomatoes. Then the root vegetables, so potatoes, all varieties, white, red, sweet, they're low FODMAP, safe at about 1/2 to 1 each. Parsnips, safe up to 1 medium. Rutabaga or swede, that's safe up to 1/2 cup. Turnips, safe up to 1 cup. Now here's a pro tip that most people miss. Preparation method really matters. So raw broccoli might trigger symptoms in smaller amounts than cooked broccoli, because cooking can reduce the amount of FODMAPs in the food as the FODMAP compounds leach in the water during the cooking process. Fruits. Okay, fruit is where a lot of people slip up because there aren't really fruits that are completely FODMAP-free. A key sugar in fruit is fructose, which is a FODMAP. Now, there are many varieties that can be low FODMAP, but we have to be mindful of the portion size. So you eat too much of one and it becomes high FODMAP. Low FODMAP fruits. Oranges, mandarins, lemons, limes, the citrus family, they're largely low FODMAP if you eat the whole fruit, so they're quite safe. Pineapple is low FODMAP at 1 cup. Cantaloupe or rock melon, low FODMAP at 3/4 cup. Strawberries, you can have 5 strawberries. Blueberries, 1/4 cup. 1 banana is okay if it's firm, if it's not super yellow, otherwise it needs to be half. In kiwi fruit, you can eat 2 small kiwi fruits, and that's low FODMAP. Actually, I want to give a special shout out to kiwi fruit. This is one of my favorite recommendations because it's not just low FODMAP. Research shows it has compounds that help with constipation and gut motility. In fact, this study in the American Journal of Gastroenterology found that eating 2 kiwi fruits daily improved bowel movement frequency and reduced straining in people with IBS-C, which is constipation predominant IBS. Grains and starches. Okay, this is another area where people think they're severely limited, but you actually have plenty of options. Safe grains. So rice, all varieties, white, brown, basmati, jasmine, wild, I don't know, whatever else there is. These are low FODMAP. Rice cakes, rice crackers, rice noodles, safe, although flavored versions, may contain FODMAP ingredients, so be careful of that. Oats, these are safe at 1/2 cup dry. Larger serves starts to creep into high FODMAP territory. Quinoa, low FODMAP at 1 cup cooked. Polenta and cornmeal, safe at regular serving sizes. Now pasta, just to clarify, gluten-free pasta, rice, corn, or quinoa-based, that's low FODMAP at 1 cup cooked. Wheat pasta is not low FODMAP, unless you have a really small portion like 1/2 cup cooked, which, let's be real, not many people are eating that size. Okay, breads and cereals. So sourdough bread, 2 slices max, that's low FODMAP. Gluten-free bread, also safe, particularly if it is based on rice or corn or potato or oat flours. Corn tortillas, safe, 2 small corn tortillas. Rice-based cereals, so Rice Krispies, puffed rice, they're all good. Gluten-free cereals, cornflakes and Cheerios, they're fine in small serves as well. Oatmeal and porridge, they're low FODMAP at half a cup of dry oats. And here's something fascinating about sourdough. The fermentation process actually breaks down the FODMAPs that are normally present in wheat. So instead of the fermentation occurring in your gut and creating gases and other symptoms, it occurs before you eat it. And that's why sourdough is lower in FODMAPs. Now that said, it needs to be real sourdough. It's thought a lot of commercial sourdough often isn't fermented enough. Dairy and alternatives. The main sugar found in dairy products is called lactose. I'm sure you've heard of it. And it is in fact a FODMAP. But you don't have to give up dairy completely. Many dairy foods are low lactose already and therefore can be considered low FODMAP. Safe dairy options. Hard cheeses, cheddar, Swiss, Parmesan. Soft cheeses, so brie, camembert, and feta, up to 40 grams. Lactose-free milk and yogurt. The lactose is a FODMAP, right? So it's already removed from these foods. I'm not putting Greek yogurt here, by the way, as it still contains FODMAPs. A very small portion, around 1 tablespoon, can be low FODMAP, but who's eating just 1 tablespoon? So go for lactose-free. Butter, it's safe in normal amounts. Lactose-free ice cream as well. Now here's why many cheeses are safe. The aging process breaks down most of the lactose. So Parmesan, aged cheddar, and Swiss cheese contain virtually no lactose. The soft cheeses I mentioned, you need to be careful with the quantity. Plant-based dairy alternatives. We have to be much more mindful of the portion sizes because these come from plants, and plants contain carbohydrates, and carbohydrates can be FODMAPs. So almond milk, 1 cup max, low FODMAP. Coconut milk, 1/3 of a cup. Oat milk, it varies by country and brand, generally low FODMAP at about 1/4 cup. Soy milk, safe up to 1 cup if made from soy protein, which is not the whole soybeans. So to clarify, because this is a confusing one, soy milk made from soybeans is high FODMAP, so you have to check the ingredients label. Again, that's also why firm tofu that I mentioned before is safe. The FODMAPs in soy are mostly in the liquid part, which gets drained off during processing of firm tofu, while soy milk made from soybeans keeps those FODMAPs in. Nuts, seeds, and snacks. This is the final food group I want to cover. And again, if we think about where do nuts and seeds come from, they are a plant food, so they contain carbohydrates, so they typically are going to contain FODMAPs in some quantities. So hopefully you're understanding this now. And so you have to be careful about portion size. The so-called safe nuts are almonds. You can have 18 nuts. Walnuts, they're safe at 15 halves. Okay, peanuts, safe at 32 nuts approximately. Peanut butter, safe at 2 tablespoons. These are all approximates, by the way, of course. Macadamias, we believe safe at 15 nuts. And there might be many of you thinking, okay, and what about cashews and pistachio? I'm very sorry, they're very high in FODMAPs. So with nuts, the key is portion control. A small handful is usually fine, but if you double it, then you've likely moved into the high FODMAP territory. Safe seeds. We've got pumpkin seeds, low FODMAP at 2 tablespoons. Sunflower seeds, they're safe at 1 tablespoon. Chia seeds, safe at 2 tablespoons. Flax seeds or linseeds, these are safe at 1 tablespoon. And I want to give a shout out for chia seeds. These are fantastic for gut health. Beyond just being low FODMAP, they're high in omega-3 healthy fats, they're high in soluble fiber, which can help regulate bowel movements. It is good for your gut if you can tolerate it. And chia pudding is the best, so make sure you try chia seeds. I thought I'd also just suggest some simple snack options that work. So rice cakes with peanut butter, hard cheese, carrot sticks with tahini, for example. Olives, they're safe at 15 olives. And popcorn, safe up to 7 cups popped. All right, so that was a lot. Of course, we couldn't fit every single food into this video. So what did we miss? Let me know your questions in the comments. And remember, everyone's gut is different. This list is based on lab testing, but you may react differently. Now, before you go, make sure you download our comprehensive FODMAP food list. It includes everything we've covered today and so much more. Basically, all the foods I haven't mentioned, both low and high FODMAP. And what's more, we keep it updated as new research becomes available. Now, it's already been downloaded by almost 1 million people, and you can get it free through the first link in the description or by commenting FODMAP list on this video, and I'll send you the link. And if you want more than just symptom management, if you want to actually get to the root cause of your gut issues, that's exactly what our For Sure pathway is designed for. It's a structured process with advanced testing, personalized dietitian support, mindset support, and step-by-step guidance through the elimination, reintroduction, and beyond. And the SURE is an acronym, S-U-R-E. It's our unique process. So if you're interested, just comment SURE pathway below or click the second link in the description to see all the details. Now remember, low FODMAP can be a helpful tool, but it should be a bridge to healing, not a permanent way of living. Your gut wants to be healthy, and with the right approach, you can get back to eating freely again. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more evidence-based gut health content. Like the video, you know what to do. If you want to learn more about getting to the root cause of your gut issues, then I recommend you watch this next video on the screen.